Hello and welcome. This is Yakaloy coming at you with another video review for Gameyaks.com. Today, we'll be reviewing the long-in-production Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, the very first game produced by baseball superstar Curt Schilling's 38 Studios. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning brings together a swath of creative talent, including the writing of best-selling fantasy novelist R.A. Salvatore, the art design of the famous comic book artist Todd McFarlane, and the game design of Ken Ralston. Throw in the talents of the newly acquired Big Huge Games, and a hefty production budget, and you've got the makings of a well-made game, right? Right? Well, we'll discuss that in a minute. To start off, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning takes place in a fantasy universe, fully realized on paper, at least, by R.A. Salvatore. Appropriately enough called Amalur. The lands of Amalur have for years been ravaged by a vicious war that has pitted the vicious and immortal Tuatha against pretty much everyone that's not them. The game places you, the player, in the role of a recently deceased, unnamed protagonist who has just been killed fighting said Tuatha. The player finds themselves resurrected and subsequently thrust into the middle of this raging conflict once again. There isn't much to say about the story though, despite the sheer volume of material written largely by writer R.A. Salvatore. The game lacks a cohesive narrative punch. The wit and creativity of this famed writer seems a bit underwhelming, largely due to the lackluster voice acting, subpar cutscenes, and tepid pacing of the main storyline. At no point during the main plotline or even any of the faction quests did I feel that the fate of the world was at stake. In fact, I didn't feel that anything was at stake with this game, nor did I care one bit for any single character whatsoever. This failure to produce any emotional resonance is a real blow to the presentation, and quite baffling considering the writing pedigree. This being an open world game and all, you can of course customize to the hilt, starting with your initial character creation, as well as into the game with a variety of crafting and skill-based customizations, is where the game really shines. Reckoning allows players to choose and build their abilities in 3 classes: Sorcery, Might, and Finesse. The game is balanced so that you can build your character out in a way that you want to. No need to worry about min-maxing or being a jack-of-all-trades, master of none. You can be a magic-wielding thief, or just a straight-up brawler. It's up to you to create the character to your liking. There's also a well-realized crafting system that allows you to create potions, armor, weapons, and magic items. The crafting system does seem suspiciously similar to the crafting system of other open-world RPGs, Elder Scrolls, Fable, Skyrim, right down to picking up alchemy ingredients from plants in the environment. The crafting system, however, is well done. The actual gameplay also is suspiciously similar to the Fable series. Gameplay, though, is where the game's appeal starts to break down. Gameplay can get repetitive, especially if you're going through one of the game's many, and I do mean many, side quests. The side quests are largely unimaginative. They basically are a variation of 2 things: kill X amount of enemies, or fetch X amount of items, or go to X place. The mechanics of the combat feel sketchy as well. While there is quite a bit of variety with the combos, spells, and abilities and the weapons in the game, the combat and responsiveness of the gameplay leaves much to be desired. The game just feels slippery and laggy. It doesn't help that the game utilizes what appears to be a move buffering system. That is to say, when you press the attack button 3 times very quickly, your character will attack 3 times in succession, at their own slower pace. This means you have to wait for the character to finish their 3 attacks before you can do anything else, and it does get very annoying very quickly, especially when you're fighting multiple enemies and need to turn to face another enemy or quickly roll out of the way. At later levels also, there isn't much of a point in utilizing any special abilities, as your basic attack will pretty much kill anything in your way. Graphically, this game feels and looks like something from the Xbox One era. It just doesn't look distinctive, aesthetically pleasing, or even that good. I'm absolutely puzzled by the involvement of Todd McFarlane. According to the game's credits, he was responsible for much of the art direction, but nowhere in the entire game, from the environments to the character design, do I see anything that even hints that he was involved. If he was involved in it, it honestly seems like he was just phoning it in. If I had a word to describe the overall look of the game, it would be simply generic. The sound design is equally flaccid, making use of otherwise great orchestral pieces rather poorly, random glitches where the sound cuts out at times, and worst of all, bad voice acting. It doesn't help also that there seems to be an issue with lip sync in this game. The game features a ton of voice dialogue. Most characters you encounter will have several lines of dialogue, but I hesitate to call the people who did the voices actors. Yes, there is a lot of dialogue, and the voice actors chosen fit their roles relatively okay. However, the actual voice acting is completely lacking. The voice actors sound bored to be reading line after line of banal dialogue. At no point did I ever get the impression that any of these characters were real people. They honestly just sound like they were reading from a script, which understandably they are, but the point of voice acting is to make it sound like you're not. To sum things up, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning just feels like it's trying too much and not doing anything in particular right. This game might have been good if it came out 5 years ago, but in a modern age of Skyrim, World of Warcraft, and Fable, this just feels out of date. I give this game 2 out of 5 stars. Thank you for watching, and please send your hate mail to yakaloy@gameyaks.com. Once again, this is Yakaloy signing off. Bye-bye.